Hello and good evening, everyone. I am Ms. Aisha Siddiqui and I am here to teach you all Special English Paper 2, that is also known as the Additional English. I hope everyone is fit and healthy and you're all taking precautions from the virus. It's a beautiful weather today and I hope everyone is fine out there who's listening to me. Okay, I am from Arham College and I will be starting with I'm not starting with a new chapter, but I will be ending with the pre-existing chapter that we were doing. To remind you all, we are on the fourth semester and we have already finished one poetry and we are on the second one, that is Sailing to Byzantium, wherein we have already done the introduction and about the poet. So we've already done about the poet. We've also done about the poem. All right, then I also read the whole poetry and we have done the analysis of part 1 and part 2. Okay, so that is stanza 1 and stanza 2 is already completed. And we will be jumping off to stanza 3 and 4, the analysis, line-wise analysis. So make sure the ones who have not seen this or not seen the videos on the lectures on this poetry, please go back on the channel and watch the videos or the lectures on poetry number 2, that is Sailing to Byzantium. It is a beautiful poetry. Once you understand it properly, you will be able to answer in your own words. To understand it properly, I have made these videos in detail about the poet, about the poetry, and also the analysis that I've done is line wise in detail. So it's a detailed analysis. So once you understand the full meaning of line wise and word wise of the poetry, you can write it in your own words. The ones who have missed it, please go back and watch it. The ones who have watched it, we are on track and we'll be moving ahead to stanza 3 and 4 of this poetry. Welcome again, students, and let's start. So I'll just like to share my screen. Okay, I hope my screen is visible. So if you see, I am on this website. It's not a website, sorry. So this link that you can see, poemanalysis.com, it is, even y'all can go on this link and you can see the whole poetry, the analysis, the summary, and etc. Now, if you see here, we have already done, I'll just take it right on top to show you all what all we've covered till now. So we've done the summary of the poetry, we've done the meaning of it, the structure, the literary devices, the themes of the poetry, analysis, wherein we've done stanza 1, which includes of line 3, 4, 5 to 8. So till line 8, stanza 1 is completed. Then stanza 2 consists of line till 8 again. Yes, 8 lines each stanza. And then we are going to move ahead to stanza number 3, wherein if we start with lines 1 and 2, it says, "O sages standing in God's holy fire, as in the gold mosaic of a wall." The third stanza represents a shift to the most ethereal and metaphysical. Once the speaker arrives in Byzantium, he addresses the sages or wise people he finds there. So he's saying, like we've already seen before, that why is he traveling there? Because he does not like the atmosphere of Ireland, that is London, because it is full of physical joy and sensual activities, and it's not for good for the old people. And therefore he's moved here to a holy place, Byzantium, and he's traveling and he's writing a poetry on it, and he finds very good and wise people here. Then he says in the first 2 lines of the third stanza, the poet now appeals to the sages who stand in God's holy fire. So he says that people here are more spiritual and who have thus been purged of the last remnants of sensuality. Then these sages look like figures represented in the gold mosaic of a wall. Now he said that here people are more pure, more sensible, full of wisdom, and they follow more traditions and accept more people, even though they are older in generation. Now, in line one of the stanza, when the poet says, "O sages," he addresses the saints. Now, here sages means saints, all right? He addresses the saints by standing in God's holy fire. So they're all saints, good, pure people. The poet refers to the figures of saints standing in holy fire of God to purge themselves by the performance of penance. So they all are standing in the holy God's fire. Why? What, even though little bit sins that they've done throughout their life, it's been washed away as they're standing in fire of God. The poet refers to figures of saints in the holy fire, as in the gold mosaic of a wall. The poet means the figures that were represented in the gold mosaic in Apollinaire in Ravenna, Italy. The word mosaic means the artist pattern that is formed by placing together precious stones of various colors. So, what is a mosaic? It is actually an art of placing together all these stones and making a form, a formation. So, he's referring this mosaic as to the saints of this place. Let's go to lines 3 and 4. Come from the holy fire, burn in a Jaya, and be the singing masters of my soul. So, in this third line, coming out from the holy fire, shown in mosaic in the pearl in a Gaia, which means a column of smoke in a circular motion. In a circular motion, the poet wants them to come out from the holy fire and descend upon him with a hawk like movement. He wants them to become the singing masters of the soul and to purify his heart. In other words, he wants to teach him to listen to his spiritual music and distinguish the sensual music. So he wants the spiritual. He's coming from a place where it has been all sensual music, all the vulgarity and music. So music in which there's vulgarism, which the poet has mentioned in the earlier stanza. In stanza 1, he says that there is all music for physical and sensual and younger generation people and not for the older one. So here he says that he wants to distinguish that music into a music which is healing and soothing to the heart and to the spiritual soul. The speaker seems to almost be conjuring these people to him in an attempt to become the singer's masters. So he says that these people are the actual singers, the masters of the singers, and not the ones who just sing all the vulgar songs and all. Now, East's uses of assonance with the long L sounds in fire and Gaia lend an almost sing-song mystical quality of the speaker's conjuring. One can almost picture the speaker calling forth the spirits in Byzantium, pleading with them to inspire and awaken his soul. Let's go to line number 5 and 8 here. Consume my heart away, sick with desire, and fasten to a dying animal. It knows not what it is, and gather me into the artifice of eternity. What does these 4 lines mean? Let's read it. The last half of the third stanza continues his thought, right? And fasten to a dying animal. What does dying animal mean over here? Fastened to a dying animal. It means that his heart is tied to a dying body and does not know or comprehend its reality. By sick with desire, he means, now first we need to say he's fastened by a dying animal. So he says that his body is actually tied to a dying body now. Means he's going to die very soon, right? The reality is that. Then sick with desire means that his heart is sick of all these earthly desires about money, about fame, about beauty, about property, and all these earthly desire. These desires are only for the earth, not after dying. Even though you construct a whole palace for yourself, you're going to leave it here in the world and go, right? So whatever you have in this world is actually going to diminish, right? And it's going to go. So he does not want the sick desire in his heart of this world. The speaker admits here that he feels lost and sick with desire, so that he's coming from a place where it's all about physical beauty, it's all about money and property, and all of this. The music over there is different, the people over there are different, they want physical, and they want all the sensual things. So that relates to this worldly thing. So he's sick of this desires, and now he feels like now he wants to move ahead in life, leaving all these desires behind, at least in the last part of his life where he wants to submit to God. All right, now he experienced in his former home, what did he experience before? He has sickened his heart. That means his heart was just destroyed and become dark in, because he was staying in a place where everything was dependent on physical and sensual world, right? And he's begging the wise sages to clean him. He begs for immortality, longing to live and to be appreciated forever. Now he's so sick and he's so tired of this worldly desires. Then when he's coming to Byzantium, he wants these sages, these saints. Who are the sages? The saints, right? Who are pure with God's grace. So he wants them, he's telling that he wants them to purify him by giving a bath of purification, by cleaning him and cleansing him with all the impurity that is there on his body, maybe in his heart, regarding the desires of the world. And he's begging them that I want immortality. That means I want to live forever. Of course, does not mean that his body can be living forever, but he wants his wisdom to go in a place, or his knowledge to be removed and given to people, where it will be immortal, never washed out, never gone, right? Like now he's given his poetry to us, it is immortal, it will be for the future generations, it has already gone before for many generations. So he wants to read these things that will remain forever and be appreciated forever. Moreover, what he wants now, the poet has yet not been able to get rid of his sensual desire which still cling to him. He, an aged man on the verge of death, is unable to understand this reality. Only those sages can purify his heart of all the impurity and give him the permanence that great objects of art possess. Now he's saying that even though he's come to this place, even though he has come out from that place that just had all the physical and sensual things, still his heart is having little desires, sensual desires. So it's still clinging to him. That means it's still with him. Even though he has washed away all of the other sins, this is the thing that still is with him. And even though he's being so aged and also on the verge of death, he's almost about to die, still why this desire is with him. He wants to clean that desire as the other people, that is the sages or the saints, have purified themselves. Let's go to stanza 4, that is the last stanza of this poetry. I hope till now whatever is done is clear, students, because whatever is completed till now is done line wise, and you all must be knowing each and every meaning up to now. So now we'll be moving on to the 4th stanza, that is the last stanza, and after this we'll be finishing off with the poetry. It was a very beautiful poetry. Let's see stanza 4, lines 1 to 4. Once out of nature I shall never take my bodily form from any natural thing, but such a form as Grecian goldsmith make of hammered gold and gold enmeling. What does this last 4 lines, sorry, these first 4 lines of stanza 4 mean? The speaker makes his pronouncement, like an announcement. He wants to forego his body and live forever. That means he wants to die. He wants to leave this temporary body. He wants immortality, the way the Greeks would have intended. through their art. That means they make a art and make that person forever living, right? Even though he's died or he's dead in the reality, but because of his art and nature, where they do make statues of gold, big statues of these pharaohs, or maybe so many people, they're still living in the people, right? People go and watch them and they amuse themselves with them. So even this person wants it like that. Here the poet, okay, just a minute, students. Yes, students. So I'll just share my screen again here. Okay. Okay, here we go. So we were on the fourth stanza. I'll just read it again. Once out of nature, I shall never take my bodily form from any natural thing, but such a form as Grecian goldsmith make of hammered gold and gold enameling. So we were here that he wants to get into a form. Here, the poet presents his dislike for the physical and sensual life in Ireland. So he says that he does not like this physical and sensual life where there's no spirituality left inside a person, right? In the second stanza, he talks about what a spiritual life the poet would lead in the golden city of Byzantium. So here he's saying that he's leaving the life of Ireland, that is the physical and sensual life, and he's going to a life of the holy city and the golden city of Byzantium to live a spiritual life ahead. And in the third stanza, he addresses that the sages of the Byzantium to make his soul pure. And he's saying, he's showing that in Byzantium there are so pure and good people, and these sages or these saints should wash him and his impurities away and make him pure. And these are the people who will understand him and his wisdom, right? So he addresses to the sages of Byzantium to make his soul so pure of all the sensuality. But in this last stanza of the poem, the poet says what kind of form he would like to be born in, and if he rebirths. So he's saying, and he's talking what kind he wants to be when when he gets a rebirth, right? Once he has renounced his early body, that means once he has left out with his early body, he would not like to be reborn in the same or any other earthly shape. So he says that once he's dead, once his soul leaves his body, he does not want the same body. He does not even want any other body of the earth or any other living creature or living body or any other person. Now we feel, right, sometimes we feel that if I die and if I have a rebirth, I want to look like him, I want to be like him, I want to be in his place. This poet is so given up on his physical and sensual desires, that he does not want any other earthly shape. He will reject all the physical incarnations because all living beings are subject to die, right? So he does not want to be a living being because they are all subject to die and they're all mortal and not immortal. Therefore, the speaker announces that he would like to take his form in Grecian urns or enameling. What does that mean? Handcrafted by goldsmith. So he wants to be like those forms and desires, like I said, the Greek gods or the pharaohs. They were made in gold, they were gold, and they were hit and they were enabled in that shape. So he wants to take the shape of these Grecian urns. They are handcrafted by the goldsmiths, so that an emperor could spend his nights admiring him at the artwork. So he wants that shape because the emperor of the world or the emperor of the place or the goldsmith or the artist, they actually take their whole nights admiring that what artwork they should make. The past, the present, and the future will all be one because the speaker will live for eternity. So these people, these goldsmiths, they make all these forms and they will live for eternity. So this is the reason he wants to be made or be re-given birth in this shape. Let's go ahead to the last 4 lines of this poetry, the 5 to 8 lines. Let's read it once. To keep a drowsy emperor awake, or set up upon a golden bow to sing to lords and ladies of Byzantium of what is past or passing or to come. What does this mean now? He would like to be in the shape of a golden bird. So he wants to be given the shape of a golden bird, not in golden in color, but made with gold. The goldsmith will actually give form to it. The kind of bird which Grecian goldsmiths are believed to have designed for the pleasure of an emperor. So this is a bird, actually the emperors ask the goldsmith and the artists to design this bird, and it takes a long time to bring this bird into a form of gold. It is known as the golden bird, a work of art it is. He would be beyond decay or death. It cannot be decayed. And this is made for the pleasure of an emperor and would therefore be unlike. There'll be no dying and there'll be no generation, no old age, no, all these weakness. The real bird mentioned in the first stanza. So in the first stanza, if you see, there's a bird mentioned here, but this is not the real bird. He does not want to be a living creature. He wants to be formed into a real, a formation of this bird. As a golden bird, he will be placed on the golden bow and will appear to be singing songs of all times. So he'll be even in the past, he'll be even in the present, and even in the future. To an audience of the lords and ladies. So to the highest audience he'll be there, right? Of the audience of Byzantium. Now, in the shape of a singing golden bird, his song will be that of a spiritual one. So he does not want the music of this world with physical and sensual words in it. He wants to have a spiritual music and essay which will be shown by the soul clapping its hands and singing. Moreover, he will be surrounded not by young lovers and other animal creatures of the sexual cycle, but by an audience that would be elegant and abstract. So he does not want to be, with even the audience, he does not want that a desire for the worldly thing. Even the audience are going to be elegant, the highest people of Byzantium. In Byzantium, he will have no age, no past, no present, no future. Now, the whole poetry is actually done line wise. So analysis of each line is done here. Now we will move forward to the historical context of this poetry. Sailing to Byzantium by W.B. Yeats was composed probably in 1927 and published in Yeats' collection of poems. All right, so there's a collection of this author's poems in a booklet, and it is titled as The Tower in 1928. This poem fits in nicely with the literary movement in which it was written, that is modernism. So it was done at the time of modernism. That's why he's using the word as old and youth, the comparison between both. Modernists often rebelled against tradition and celebrated self-discovery, which this poem does. So even in this poem, there is a rebel against the modernism, the modern youth, the traditions, the self-discovery. Then it is also interesting to consider when Yeats wrote this poem, he wrote it fewer than 10 years before his death. So he actually wrote 10 years before his death, and he was just saying that I'm about to die, I'm about to die, which means he was an old man. Of course, he was old, but still 10 years is a long time. This is important since the speaker in this poem feels he is not appreciated in his homeland due to his advanced age. Now, here it shows that only the youth and the youngsters are appreciated, and the old ones, even after having all the talent and work and wisdom and knowledge, they're not that appreciated. and therefore he does not feel appreciated in his homeland, and he wants to, in order for that appreciation, he wants to move somewhere to a better place where he finds that appreciation, where he can contribute into wisdom. Perhaps Yeats was feeling alienated from his society from the same reason. So we've already done about W.B. Yeats. Let's see who he is in short. In short, we'll just finish off with it. Okay, he was a proud Irishman. He's known for his work. He's very strongly influenced by the native countries. Much of his poetry is a reflection of his influence. Then he perceived history as cycles of similar epochs. However, the playwriting could not interest him for a long time. He also went into theater, nepotism, platonism. Then East died in 1939, but his legacy lives even today. Similar poetry. There are many similar poetry based on the same themes. Let's see a few of them. Youth and Age by Samuel Taylor. Then Beautiful Old Age by H. Lawrence. Then Ode on a Grecian Urn by John Keats. This poetry you have done in your semester 3. It is in the same book. If you are interested to do that, you can also go behind and do that. In this poem, the poet imagines a world in which old age is truly revered and hoped for. This is one of Lawrence's popular poems. Then, Growing Old by Matthew Arnold. This poem is full of questions, answers, and depictions of old age, how the old age is like. So we are done with this poetry. I hope you all understood the whole poetry. This poetry is actually divided into 2 to 3, I think 4 classes. So you can see 4 videos based on the same poetry about the poet, about the poem. Then in one we have analysis of stanza 1 and 2 and analysis of stanza 3 and 4. I hope this is clear and you all like the video. Thank you so much, everyone. You all can also see the glossary for it. Glossary has a number of words that give you the meaning of the whole poetry, and the question answers can be done in your own words. You can also find it online. The links that I have shown in this video can help you find these question answers as well. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day. We will be continuing with the other poetries in future. The next poetry, I'll just like to share it with you all, which one it is, so that we'll do it next. It is Futility. A very nice poetry done by Wilfred Oven. Okay, not the microwave oven. All right. So we'll be doing that shortly. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. Thank you.